state lines. There's a Bristol, Virginia, and a Bristol, Tennessee. It's the Rocky Top version that fans flock to twice a year. And the trucks kick things off before the weekend even begins. Youth gone wild in the Truck Series. A California rookie, a Southern gentleman, a third-generation cowboy, and a Texas-sized underdog. All 30 or under, all chasing the Wisconsin Firecracker. There is nothing about Bristol Motor Speedway that creeps up on you. Instead, the track and the experience hit you over the head like a ton of concrete. The concrete half-mile track rises out of the Tennessee mountains like a modern-day Coliseum. The setup presented by Polaris has its sword drawn. Hello everyone, welcome to the setup. I'm Chris Devoda. The track has not even cooled. The modified race just wrapping up. Ryan Newman, the winner just a few moments ago. As you can see, the truck's starting to roll out to get in place. But this is a midweek special ×2, the seldom used Wednesday Truck Series race. And for the last 3 years, a Wednesday in Bristol has meant a Kyle Busch in victory lane. Kyle Busch going for his 4th Truck Series win in a row at Bristol, but he'll have to do something that he hasn't had to do before, go through Kevin Harvick to get it. Harvick in the field for the first time in 7 years. Hard to believe 2004 was the last time Harvick was in a truck at Bristol, but he is coming into this race with a lot of momentum. One of his favorite tracks. Here's a look back at last week in Michigan.
The fact that favorites in this race might have an advantage in the sense that this track is very raceable. They can come from the back to the front.
It's 2 miles long. It's wide. You'd think these truckers, the best drivers in America, could figure out a way to find some space and run on their own.
Going to pull up here. Looks like the 51 of Colin Brown behind him. They make a little contact.
It looked like Todd just tried to force his way in.
There's a problem on the Kyle Busch machine. Last time by, the engine sputtered, went sour.
Water pressure went from 20 pounds to nothing.
I just want to clarify, this was a piece of debris that punctured the radiator.
It's out there, clear up behind him.
Sauter sideways!
He does just kiss the inside wall.
Put out on my own, guys. Hit the wall with the right front.
Trying to race his way back onto pit road to get those tires fixed. Well, they do the damage to the right front fender.
Tires first, we'll work on the damage.
Bigger picture, Austin Dillon took the point lead away from Johnny Sauter after Pocono. Now, this is going to back him up quite a few positions.
Kligerman spins. He gets into Martin. Everybody scatters at the exit of the back straightaway.
Austin Dillon with nowhere to go, got caught up against the fence.
I don't know where Mark wanted me to go, man.
Parker Kligerman can't see. He ran right in the back of the 3.
I knew it was going to wreck. I should have lifted. Parker's done it at Dover. It's the second time. He just got to learn the truck. You can't go like that.
Johnny Sauter's thinking, wow, that's a big change.
Here they come down to the line, and Kevin Harvick leads by maybe 3 or 4 truck lengths.
Timothy Peters is all over Kevin Harvick. He's going to climb the banking.
Sideways goes Miguel Palou, and now Nelson Piquet. He's going to hit the wall on the inside.
Timothy Peters making one last run, but he will not be able to catch Kevin Harvick.
Matt, boys, good job. It wasn't pretty, but we did what we had to do.
Making it 2 in a row, Kevin Harvick will win the VFW 200.
The Ford point standings were thrown for a loop after that. Kligerman may have lost some friends. He also loses a position. Hornaday gains 2, while Austin Dillon falls from the top spot back to 3rd. And after losing the point lead heading into Michigan, Johnny Sauter now has it back. Ray Dunlap is with our leader.
Thank you very much. This is Johnny Sauter's biggest fan, and if you go to Safe Auto and go to their Facebook page, you might win a trip to Vegas. How about that? Back in the points lead, and I asked you in the qualifying show earlier today, can you take it easy tonight, or do you have to work your way to the front? Have you thought about your strategy?
Yeah, I mean, you can play a million different scenarios through your mind, but, the Mud Jug Safe Auto Chevy was really good in race trim on a long run, I thought. I still feel that way. So we didn't qualify nearly as good as we wanted to, but this is one of those places, if you're too patient, you get caught up from behind or you get in trouble, and if you're too aggressive, you get in trouble. So we just got to, go out there and do what we do, try to keep the truck in one piece and make good adjustments on it, and, race the racetrack all night. If you can do that, I think you'll have a solid night.
Okay, Johnny Sauter back in the point lead, coming to Bristol. He knows tonight could be a big, important factor.
Well, Ray, Austin Dillon back in 3rd in points tonight. Didn't qualify like you want to, I'm sure.
But what do you think about the modifieds? You just got done racing here on speed. This track is awful black with a lot of modified rubber. What have you and Danny Stockman talked about to start this race?
The rubber was effective this morning, so we'll just see how it goes. The truck's decent. I think the biggest thing, I watched the modified race. A lot of people wrecked. The person who finishes is going to finish up front. So our battle tonight is finishing. This might not be our race here, but you never know. The last few weeks we thought it's our race, and then you get tangled up, so it might be our week.
But that's Austin Dillon, disappointed with his finish last week, but loves this racetrack. He'll start 17th, but he'll make his way to the front. Krista?
A race of survival. Let's take a look at some news and notes making headlines this week in the Truck Series. Driver Shane Sieg suspended indefinitely for violating NASCAR's substance abuse policy. And could Rockingham have something up its sleeve? Possibly, since it has something being installed on its walls, safer barriers to go up at the North Carolina track. And Brad Keselowski continues to rest his ankle in anything but Cup races. His Truck Series driver, Parker Kligerman, will fill in for him this week, Friday night, in the Nationwide Series race. We are just getting started here at Bristol. Still to come, we're also getting started a few days early. He's not the top rookie in points, but he might be soon. And with a name like Tim, of course he's a tool man. Timothy Peters really does know his way around a toolbox, and he proved it. Plus, one of the best in the Truck Series history. He wrote records and then broke them. But where is Jack Sprague now? It's a story about learning to live in the moment, and it's a good one. Nobody gets you closer to the action than the setup. The setup is presented by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles, now at your local dealer. Brought to you in part by Camping World and the Good Sam RV Club. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, roadside assistance, and more. And brought to you in high definition by Funai. Funai, fun and innovative. Experience more at FunaiAmerica.com. Ron Hornaday and his wife Lindy hit the grocery store as soon as they got to town to meet with fans and get things cooking, literally.
We're here at Kroger, our local store here in Bristol, and we're going to cook perfect meatball nachos. It is my first time trying, but they really look good. So if they come out like halfway like this, we're going to have a success today. Did we get that checkered flag? It's done. I'll tell you if they're really good right now.
Nice.
You're not a bad cook, girl. That's the perfect meatball right there. The cooked perfect meatball.
The four-time champion Hornaday won back-to-back truck races here in 97 and 98. Both wins came from the pole. Starting up front is key, as passing is a tough thing to do at the world's fastest half mile. So is talking. This place is about to get extremely loud. Welcome back inside Bristol Motor Speedway. You know, before joining Red Horse Racing midway through the 2009 season, Timothy Peters could be found in his buddy's garage turning a wrench on his own truck, the truck he co-owned. So having a tool manufacturer as a sponsor now is a perfect fit.
We're here at Apex Tool Group. They're corporate headquarters here in Sparks, Maryland.
But I wanted to introduce to you guys your driver, the number 17, Red Horse Racing, Gear Inch Crescent, Toyota Tundra. Your driver, Timothy Peters.
We kind of come and give a little demonstration of how Red Horse Racing operates at the racetrack with the pit crews, with both show trucks that we have here today, and have a little cookout and entertain the people here at Sparks, Maryland. I can't thank you enough for what you do for me and allowing me to represent you guys, because it's an awesome, not only at the racetrack, but when I get to go to the hospitality and see the fans and see the customers and see the little kids that come up asking you to sign their hat, it just makes the day a whole lot better, regardless of how well you're doing on the racetrack or how great you're doing on the racetrack. I think they have a whole new respect for it. I think the whole situation is that when you can physically touch it and see how we operate, it just automatically turns you into a fan. And then it gives you a little bit better perspective when you watch it on TV, that you finally have a face to put with a name and root for someone. Without these folks, you know, our sport wouldn't be where it is today. So very thankful for everyone at Apex Tool Group for welcoming us in with open arms. All the family of brands that this group puts out. And the best of all, I get to go out on the racetrack every weekend and represent them.
Early in the year, Peters was as high as second in the points. By Kentucky in July, he was down to seventh. But since then, Peters has traveled the same path as the Mercury, rising up. In the last 5 races, Peters has only one finish outside of the top 10, and that was an 11th. Ray?
Hey, Krista, how about a win, a second, and a third? Those three finished it in his last 4 races. Things have really been on a roll for you guys, but tonight there's a big challenge. You're going to have to try to come from the back. How possible is it?
I think it's very possible. You know, what a testament to the guys working hard on our Tundra, getting it ready, and we qualified like that with only 2 laps on the racetrack. So looking forward to making sure I use a lot of patience. Tom told me, he says, you know, we're going to have to be patiently aggressive. And what better way to do it than with Apex Tools on board? And I was seeing that little clip right there. I got to hang out with Steve Bryska, the president of Apex Tool Group, and all the corporate people in Sparks, Maryland. So we're going to make them proud tonight.
All right, do a good job. That is Timothy Peters. He qualified 8th, but because he's in a backup, he'll go to the rear. Now let's hear from his teammate. He's standing by with Hermie.
Well, you're right, Ray. Tonight we're calling him Oliver's dad. That's how we'll refer to you tonight. Miguel Paludo, number 1. Congratulations on the birth of baby boy Oliver. You're coming back to the place of your very first start here at Bristol. A lot has changed. You guys are on the roll right now.
Yeah, 10-4. Thanks for the Oliver. You know, I'm really glad. Our first son, he's perfect at the hospital with my wife. I want to say hi. And we are in the mood. You know, everything's pumped here. 3rd place finish in Michigan. We unloaded really close today. And it just didn't qualify as we want to. Let's see how the race goes. But as a driver, I feel like we have a very good track for tonight's race. 1 year was my first racetrack. It's pretty special for me to be here. And let's see what I got.
That's Miguel Paludo. He's got, talking about Timothy Peters, this guy's got 2 top 5s in the last 3 races, Krista. The whole team is getting it together.
Yeah, Hermie, and the team actually took his name off the truck and put Oliver's daddy. So yeah, congratulations to Miguel and his wife Patricia on the birth of their baby boy. Upstairs, Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, and Michael Waltrip are in the broadcast booth, and I want to go back to the fact that Kevin Harvick is back in a truck at this track for the first time in 7 years. In my mind, that is no coincidence, the fact that Kyle Busch has won 3 straight, perhaps trying to keep Kyle out of victory lane.
Yeah, I would say most definitely. Kyle's got a lot of momentum at this racetrack, but probably the most momentum in the series has to go to Kevin Harvick. 2 wins coming into this race.
That's right. He's won his last 2 starts. He's won 5 times here in a nationwide car, guys, and a cup win. He would like to become a winner in all 3 series, and you're right. He has the momentum, and he's ready to go get Kyle Busch. I think that's why he's here. He said, Kyle, you're not winning another one. I'm going to take this one.
Yeah, but how much competition do we have here? In addition to Kyle Busch, we've got Elliott Sadler and essentially a brand new team, a second entry out of Joe Donat on the pole already. And we also have, you know, the other Kevin Harvick trucks are really good here too. On the front row, we have Nelson Piquet Jr. looking for that first win, and Ron Hornaday also running extremely well. So there's a tremendous amount of competition for both Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch to keep their streaks going.
I saw Elliott Sadler on the way up to the booth, and he said, I'm right tonight.
Did he have that look in his eye?
Well, he didn't have it like Brendan Gaughan had it earlier today. I think I like Brendan Gaughan tonight. I think he can get her done. It's going to be a great race.
It should be a great race. We're back on concrete, Krista.
Hey, and actually, there's a great song by a band called Concrete Blonde. Do you guys know the name of it?
No. Joey.
Joey is right. I always sing that actually to Joey Logano before an interview, and the 21-year-old looks at me like I'm crazy. But we have our own Joey here in the Truck Series. Joey Coulter has been on quite a roll, and perhaps he's one to watch tonight. After all, we're on concrete, and he's been rock solid.
I was 5 or 6, just every Christmas or birthday, I would, my parents, what do you want for Christmas? A go-kart. You know, you can't have a go-kart. What else do you want? A go-kart. That was like all I wanted to do. I tried playing other sports and was terrible at it. Didn't, you know, I had fun, but not the same kind of fun as I did going to a race or watching a race or driving a go-kart. My goal from 8 years old was NASCAR. After my second year at Pro Cup, we hired Harold and went ARCA racing for 2 years and just had an awesome 2 seasons in ARCA. And at the end of the second season, you got an unbelievable phone call from RCR, and a couple months later sat down to sign the contract. It's been huge. Phoenix, I wasn't very good in practice, and I had everybody on the radio talking to me. Austin was talking to me, Mike Dillon was talking to me. Mr. Childress even came on the radio and was talking to me, and just all they were doing is just, you know, giving me ideas, not telling me I'm doing something wrong, not telling me you're 3/4 of a second off, figure it out. You know, they're just telling me, try this, you're doing fine, try this, and by the end of practice, we're right there. You know, my teammate did it last year. I think Rookie of the Year is something we can shoot for. You know, I'd really like to try to win one race, but Rookie of the Year is the main goal. Just having a good point season, not tearing trucks up, and, you know, and racing every lap.
He is chasing Cole Witt in that Rookie of the Year battle. Last week's 18th place finish ended a streak of 7 straight top 10s for Joey Coulter. Hey, Brendan Gaughan scored a top 10 in Michigan. He is also one to watch. He nearly won this race in 2007. And David Starr is always strong on the short tracks. He'll be tired when the weekend is over. He is attempting triple duty this weekend. The setup from Bristol on a Wednesday returns after this. You're watching Speed. Kyle Busch just introduced to the crowd. They had a reception for him. Was it warm? Wait till you see the driving. That comes up next. The setup is presented by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles now at your local dealer. And brought to you in high definition by Funai. Funai, fun and innovative. Experience more at FunaiAmerica.com.
Jack Sprague wins the championship for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Here comes Sprague to the inside. He's trying to take the lead, and he does take the lead.
He gets past Hornaday. He takes the race lead. Jack Sprague looks like he is going to win the race and the championship.
And the celebration has begun. Jack Sprague, 37 years of age, is a 3-time NASCAR Craftsman Truck champion.
Certainly one of the best. The last time we saw Jack racing here in the series he helped build was the season finale in 2008. Recently, Ray Dunlap sat down with a Race Hub conversation with Jack to talk about rivalries, reflection, and possibly regret.
Tell me about that moment when you sat down at that table to sign your name on a contract, and at the top it said Hendrick Motorsports.
I didn't even care what they paid me because getting paid was better than trying to do it myself. At that time, I thought, this is a stupid amount of money. I cannot believe I'm driving a Hendrick Motorsports vehicle.
Isn't it weird, though, when you're living it, when you're in that moment, sometimes you don't realize how special it can be.
Here comes Sprague to the finish line. It's all Jack Sprague.
You get used to it, and you're a part of it, and you're winning, and you're expected to win, and then it just becomes normal.
That was beautiful.
It was just a normal way of life for us. Anything we wanted, money was never an issue. Never said no to anything. Once it's gone, you realize what you had.
I want to dedicate this race to Papa Joe Hendricks. Him and Rick and Jimmy, they've been great to me.
I don't like letting people down. I have high standards of myself, what I expect out of myself. I was there to win. I didn't care who got mad at me.
Oh, Jack the Tap, and there they go.
It was never about the money, Ray. If you're doing it for the money, you're going to back off, and well, I can make so much if I finish here. I was broke when I started that deal. They have 3 truck championships, and they're all mine.
Jack Sprague wins the championship.
3-time champion Jack Sprague celebrates with his team.
I tell you what, I like racing with Ron Hornaday and Mike Skinner more than anybody in this world. Man. We have more darn fun.
That was a time of my life. I just didn't know it.
Do you ever sit back and say, what if I'd have never left trucks if you hadn't gone off to do that other thing?
I don't even know if I had the option, but I wish I would have said, Rick, I just soon just stay right here. But back then too, Ray, I was so driven to get the Cup. I had a one-track mind, and I shouldn't have looking back because the Truck Series is a great series. The Nationwide Series is a great series. You make choices, and sometimes they're not right. I've made some bad ones toward the end of my career that I should have never made. Even at the end, in Kevin's truck, we ran good. Didn't work out. That bummed me out pretty good. After I got released there, I went after one ride that I really felt like I could win in, and that was the 13 truck. And now you had to have money. I tried hard to get it. And Johnny had a little money. I didn't, but he got the deal. He's done a great job in it. But I felt like I could win races in that truck. I am not going to go out there and take something that I know I don't have any chance of winning in. I would rather live in a cardboard box under a bridge. At that point, at the end of 2008, I couldn't find anything else, anybody that would talk to me without money, that I felt like I had a shot of winning it. I put myself in a position I shouldn't have. I don't blame anybody but myself. I was getting to a point where I was going to hate the sport that my life was wrapped around. And I didn't want to end up hating it because my whole life has been racing. I know nothing else. At that point, I'm like, I have to do something to lessen the blow. You know, I don't want to spend all my money. I don't want to spend what I've earned my whole career and be broke. So I have to do something to at least stay even. We've been working really hard on getting this hunting preserve done, Ultimate Whitetails in northern Michigan. Beautiful place. It's off the hook. The lodge is beautiful. The deer are beautiful. The land's beautiful. You see a lot of people that have made money through their careers doing anything, whether it be racing or something else, and 10 years later they're broke. I'm scared of being broke. I don't want to be broke. I knew walking away this could be it, but I don't think it is. If it is, I'm okay with it. I had a great career. I had a career second to not very many people in that series. How can I look back and be at all disappointed in what I was able to do with a lot of great people? I still don't have any regrets, and I'm not retired. I'm not that old. I'm not near Hornaday's age, so we're all right.
You can see stories like these told on Race Hub every Monday through Thursday at 7 Eastern. Now, I'm standing next to the pole-sitting truck. I have a feeling Hermie Sadler is close by.
Well, I do. I've got pole winner Elliott Sadler. First pole for Joe DeNette Motorsports. You're now one of 3 drivers that's got a pole in all 3 national series here at Bristol. I know you're proud of that.
I'm very proud of it. I appreciate Joe DeNette giving us the opportunity, and the guys from KHI building us a great truck. And we got Ron England here and everybody from AMFMenergy.com. And great place to start on the pole. We got a really good truck tonight. We got the #1 pit box, and we just want to make it last all the way to the end and give ourselves a chance at the making it a victory lane.
What is the key here at Bristol? I know you put a lot of emphasis in every week, but you love winning here at Bristol. You know, first time for AM/FM Energy as well. It'd be a big win for you guys. What's the key to getting the victory lane?
Yeah, your truck's got to keep turning good all night, and it's got to have good forward bite off the corners, and track position is going to be key tonight. It's a lot of trucks running the same exact speed, so track position be good. We got to stay up front, which we help with that starting on the pole. So we got a good pit crew here with us tonight. So it's cool not race for any points. We're just here. We can take a lot of chances, gamble if we need to, and be there at the end. And that's what it's all about. It's about winning the race, and that's what we're here for.
First career pole for Joe DeNette Motorsports. Can I get a high five, Wyatt? There you go. That's Wyatt. He's into the festivities as well. Krista?
That's great. I thought I was just tossing to 2 Sadlers. Turns out there were 3 in that interview. Wyatt is certainly a cutie. We know we need to watch Elliott Sadler. We also need to keep your eye on Kevin Harvick. Hard to believe he has not been back at one of his favorite tracks in the truck since 2004. His last 3 truck wins, Kyle's last 3 truck wins here have come without Harvick in the field. Tonight, the 2 gladiators collide. A busy weekend on Speed. If it is racing on this Bristol track, all you have to do is keep your television locked and loaded. Speed will have it. There you see the menu, and there you see the track where everyone will be racing this weekend. The eastern half of the United States experienced an earthquake yesterday. Damage done to buildings and monuments, no joking matter, but a NASCAR fan knows the earth moves every August. It's called Racing in Thunder Valley. It starts now.
There are places where stats matter and those where they don't. But at Bristol, will counts more than numbers, and heart gets you more than horsepower.
Never take anything for granted here in Bristol.
Where tempers are short, beating and banging are ways of life.
You hear veterans talk about how difficult this place can be.
Tonight, everyone's a target. Tonight, scores will be settled at racing's Bull Ring. The O'Reilly Auto Parts 200 is next on Speed.
No matter what nickname you use for Bristol Motor Speedway, it's a racetrack every driver wants to race on. And tonight, it's the trucks that take center stage. Welcome to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series O'Reilly Auto Parts 200 on Speed. Numerous drivers come into tonight's race on a streak, whether it be a win streak on this track or a win streak in the series, or even a winless streak that could end tonight. Thunder Valley is one of the most prestigious tracks in all of racing. If you can win here, it means you've raced hard, made good pit calls, and had a little luck go your way. We're getting ready for 200 laps under the lights, and to get everything started, we go trackside for tonight's pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Dobyns-Bennett High School Air Force Junior ROTC presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Second Lieutenant Trent Callison from the Tennessee Army National Guard.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now please welcome the president of Victory Weekend Ministries, Steve Wingfield, as he offers tonight's invocation.
Father God, we thank you for this beautiful evening in Bristol, Tennessee. Thank you for the privilege of celebrating the 50th anniversary of Bristol Motor Speedway. Lord, I thank you for Jeff Caldwell and his team. I thank you for each of the teams here tonight and the drivers. I pray that you'd be with them, keep them safe. May we have a good time. Thank you for those that are serving around our world, representing this nation. Keep them safe tonight. And I pray your blessing upon this evening and this weekend. Give us victory in Jesus' name. Amen.
And now here to perform our national anthem, please place your hand over your hearts as we welcome Sidewalk Prophets.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
One of the favorites has to be Kyle Busch heading into this race. Prime time for the Camping World Truck Series. Under the lights from Bristol Motor Speedway. This racetrack will take your breath away. Fit. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Camping World and the Good Sam RV Club. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, roadside assistance, and more. By the new low-rise collection from Fruit of the Loom. By Mobil 1, the world's leading synthetic motor oil brand. Put some NASCAR in your car with the One, Mobil 1. And by Roundup brand. Kills weeds to the roots so they don't come back. Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway, Thunder Valley. To get tonight's race storylines, let's go back to our concrete blonde, Chris DeVota.
I like that. And hey, who thought the weekend got all the fun? We're racing on a Wednesday. Reasons to watch this race. Nobody has been able to stop Kyle Busch in a truck at Bristol. But a Bristol specialist has been called out of the bullpen. Would you believe Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch have never been in a truck race at Bristol at the same time. That's a reason to watch. Bristol means bank. I mean, literally, because the variable banking goes up to 30 degrees. But a win at Bristol also means bragging rights. And taking a look at our forward points, our chase with 10 to go starts right now. And this points battle is extremely tight. Johnny Sauter lost the lead heading into Michigan. He now has it back with a new challenger in his rearview mirror. James Busher up to second. Austin Dillon falls to third, but the top 4 drivers are separated by only 12 points. Speaking of Austin Dillon, he is not backing down from a fight. He was quoted in the local paper, the Kingsport Times News today, saying, "We'll keep Kyle Busch out of victory lane somehow." Is that a prediction or a warning? The race will determine that. And I still cannot believe that Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch have not been in a Bristol truck race together. Kevin's last race here in a truck, 2004. Kyle's first was 2005. That is all about to change because they're going to face each other right now. We keep things trackside for tonight's command as we get ready to go truck racing at Bristol on a Wednesday.
And now for the words we've all been waiting for. Please welcome O'Reilly 200 Grand Marshal from Like New Automotive, Bill Sieber.
Drivers, start your engines!
Sure, we'll just get to our sample. Everything close to just shut it back off, and we'll wait.
Yeah, we go through the lock.
No room to hide at this track. Rick, Phil, Michael with Kyle wearing the bullseye and likely Kevin holding the biggest bow and arrow. Perhaps someone else will steal their thunder in Thunder Valley.
Yeah, Kristen, we're about to find that out. Will someone steal their thunder here at this racetrack? Before the season starts, this is always one of the variables. Daytona, Talladega, and Bristol, especially when we talk about championships. And we've got one of the tightest championships, but this racetrack is so tough to command.
You know, Rick, growing up, all I ever wanted to do my whole life was go fast. And, man, do you get the sensation of speed at this racetrack. These guys will run upwards of 140 miles an hour at the end of the straightaways. And, Michael, the straightaways aren't but from here to me to you.
You wanted to go fast. You're like Ricky Bobby. I want to go fast. I want to go fast. And that's what these guys are going to do. 140 miles an hour into the corner. Takes 16 seconds to get around this track. Only about 4 of them will they be holding the steering wheel straight. And it's intense. You run so many laps, the caution comes out, you will forget which end of the track you're on. It gets that crazy out there. Phil, you and I both won here. We know what it takes. You're exhausted when the night's over, both physically and mentally.
And so many times I hear you drivers say that you almost forget to breathe going around this racetrack because you're holding your breath a lot of the time.
You do. And when these guys qualified at 15.5 seconds, they did not breathe for that 15.5 seconds. You're going to have to figure it out sometime. We've got 200 laps. You better get a couple breaths in.
I love it when you try to talk to them on the radio. How's the truck? It's okay. I think it's all right.
One of the guys who had to hold his breath the shortest amount of time was our pole winner. That was Elliott Sadler grabbing his second career pole. Our starting grid will roll across the top of the screen. Nelson Piquet Jr. is going to make his first start on the front row outside of Elliott Sadler. Take a look at our race analysis and track description of this place.
We talk about this racetrack. You see the corners are banked up to 30 degrees here. 200 laps, 150 laps pit window. Most of the crew chiefs, Michael, said this may be a 2-stop race. They feel like there's enough give up in the tires.
And they could they could use their pit window early or late, Phil. You might want to get on pit road, maybe at lap 50 or so, then come back at 100 and be set to go to the end. Who knows what these guys will do because the tires are good, so they got some options on pit road.
Absolutely.
What a beautiful facility this is, Bristol Motor Speedway.
It's a coliseum.
165,000 seats. They rank this the 4th largest sports venue in America. What an amazing feat it is to pack this place in. We want to take a look at a few different drivers, a little closer look at those drivers. Let's start off with Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. If you cut down some trees, I'm going to recommend that you get a Bandit chipper. And if you are looking for a young driver that you may not know much about, I'm going to recommend Jake Crum. He's only 19, but listen to some of these numbers. 17 karting titles, a Bandolero championship, a championship in UARA late models. He won the Bailey's 300 back in 2009, and in his ARCA debut, he got a 6th at Mansfield. He's got over 350 total wins in his career. Tonight, he hopes to run 200 laps and bring home 4 fenders. Hermie?
Well, thank you, Ray. And another story the kind we like to talk about here in the Camping World Truck Series is that of John King. He's starting 19th tonight, a very good qualifying run after a little bit of damage in practice. But he's from Fort Blackmore, Virginia. He's making his 6th career start here tonight at Bristol. He also ran this race here last fall. And listen to this. He's got his own section at this racetrack. 400 fans he gave tickets to are here tonight watching him race. He's looking for a good solid finish tonight. Just trying to hear chasing a dream just like everybody else. Phil?
Hermie, I want to talk about a guy that's here chasing a dream as well. This is a guy that turned 46-year-old last week, Jeff Agnew from Copper Hill, Virginia. He was a 1998 USAR Pro Cup champion. As a matter of fact, he's 3rd in points this year with 3 wins in the last 4 races. All he ever wanted to do, guys, is run NASCAR. And this is his opportunity at 46 years old, and he has a great opportunity. This is the same team that he runs the Pro Cup Series with. He's got local sponsorship from a local grocery store chain, Food Country USA, who's been so big a part of racing in this area. And right now, Jeff will start this race in his Chevy from the 24th spot. Mikey?
Guys, let's shine a well-deserved spotlight on 18-year-old Ross Chastain from Alva, Florida. Congrats, Race. Congrats, Ross, on your top 10 finish in your NASCAR Camping World Truck Series debut in Indy 3 races ago. Ross's family sells watermelons, and he's sponsored by the National Watermelon Board. No one knows better than Ross how much this place will bite you. It reached out and got him in practice, so he's going to roll off from last position in Melon 2. This was Melon 1, Phil. He gets loose down in turn 1. It goes into the outside wall. And
smash
boom,
the watermelon.
Just like that, we have squished watermelon. There's another view of Ross losing. He lost his truck. You know, when he left Indy, I bet he thought, I got this truck stuff. Right there, he's thinking, man, Bristol is a mean track. He's going to roll off last place.
You saw we were riding on board with the 66. That's Ross Chastain. He'll carry our Funai sponsored on board. We'll ride along with him tonight. We'll also be on board with the Toyota on board of Miguel Paludo. So we'll see how Miguel does from the 16th starting position this evening, as well as the guy who's going for 6 in a row at this racetrack. It'll be his 4th win in the trucks in a row at this track if he can get to victory lane. That's our Toyota on board with Kyle Busch. Let's find out what the recipe for success is tonight in our Walmart recipe for success. We go to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. How about 8 different tracks where Kyle Busch has won in all 3 of the top NASCAR divisions, but Bristol has to be his favorite. How about the numbers? The last 5 consecutive victories at this track have all belonged to driver number 18, and he's led over 936 laps in those wins. Kyle Busch is the man at Bristol, and I think tonight if you want to win, you're going to have to beat him. Hermie?
Well, the 5 truck of Todd Bodine, 21 career victories, none on a short track. Todd's the champion. He wants to get that first short track victory tonight at Bristol. Rick?
Everyone's chasing the 24 of Elliott Sadler, and they're all on their feet here at Bristol. Coming out of turn 4. Green flag in the air. We're underway. A great start for Elliott Sadler. He shoots out in front of the 8 of Nelson Piquet Jr. Right behind him, here comes Brendan Gaughan in the 62. He'll take 2nd away. Hornaday sideways as he comes through 3 and 4.
A lot of car control or truck control there for Hornaday. He was really sideways. Brendan Gaughan was so happy today. He said, I'm telling you, I've had the best truck I've had all year long.
Man, that was a rough start for Ron Hornaday. You about lost that truck.
4th right now, Hornaday and James Bush are racing side by side. Now Hornaday has it. Busher goes back into the 5th spot.
How about the 18 truck and the 2 trucks side by side?
That's the storyline coming in here. Which one of these cats could win and continue their win streak? Well, right now they're side by side, but they're not inside the top 10 or top 5.
Just outside of that top 5. Kyle Busch stays on the bottom of the racetrack. Kevin Harvick up top in the number 2. Again, those 2 racing door to door.
Kevin Harvick doesn't have to question Ron's commitment, does he? He was dead sideways, and Kevin was the truck right on his tailgate.
Things happen quickly here. 200 laps already on our 5th lap. These 2 stay side by side, still racing for position. It's for the 6th spot. Harvick has it. Busch wants it.
And remember, with Timothy Peters making his way from the back of the pack, had to go to the back because of losing that primary truck in practice. The progressive banking here, you don't automatically have to be on the bottom of the racetrack. The outside works well too.
We just saw that. Peters was all the way up in the Looked like there hadn't been a truck up where he had been all day long. He didn't hesitate, though, to go high and 3 wide around those trucks.
And since they repaved this racetrack, you see a lot more guys moving up the racetrack and making passes without actually having to run into the back of other trucks, which is the way you used to pass here at Bristol. You'd move them out of the way.
Yeah, used to, you just run into each other. That's the only option you had. Now, you can actually go around someone on the high side.
As a matter of fact, a lot of times the bottom of the racetrack will get a little bit slick because of all the trucks down there, and the outside groove will become the primary groove.
These two finally sorted it out. Harvick pulls ahead of Busch, and those two will set their sights on the top 5.
Patience is a word we use a lot in racing, especially on a short track. You have to have patience to be able to move up toward the front. But in a situation like this, with Elliott Sadler having such a good race truck, the last time he started on the pole, he won that race. How long can you have patience before you've got to chase this guy down?
Oh, we got a crash on the back.
Sliding sideways into turn number 3 is Hornaday.
Unbelievable. We knew he had a loose race truck. We saw it early on in lap number 1.
Heck, we saw it in qualifying. He was all over the place.
Front end damage to the 33 of Hornaday. The meatballs not holding up as well on the front, the hood of that truck.
He was running in the 4th spot when this incident occurred.
They're perfectly cooked, though.
Yeah, a lot of damage to that truck. It's going to be right in front.
Right in front of his car owner.
See, he was racing with a 31 of James Buescher. James was in the middle of the racetrack. Don't know if there was some contact.
So he'll bring it on to pit road. They will work on the front end of Ron Hornaday's number 33 truck. 4-time series champion, struggling once again. Tonight, the car show with Adam Carolla is all new, and it's a must-see. Dave Mira schools Matt Farah on rally racing in Seattle, and Adam wreaks havoc at the New York Auto Show. Don't miss the car show tonight. It's a special time immediately following our truck race, so you'll want to stick around for that. Should be a lot of fun. We're under caution again. It was the 33 of Hornaday that got sideways coming out of turn 2, and around he went. Take another look at what happened.
This is right in front of Kevin Harvick, his truck owner, and Kyle Busch. You see him around sideways, makes contact with the inside safety barrier. A lot of damage to the left front corner of that truck.
Check out this view from inside.
He's loose right there, Mikey.
Just off the second corner, he gets sideways early, and then it snaps around. Let's go inside of the truck of Kyle Busch and watch this truck. He just snaps in the middle. See him snap there as he is exiting?
And watch the job James Buescher does to get around him. Incredible job by James Buescher.
You know, Phil, you go in the corner and you load up that right front so much, and you keep turning it and turning it, and finally the back end goes away. He probably just had a little bit more gas than he needed on the floor, and then had the wheels cut, and the thing snapped on him. We saw it happen on the first lap, and he got away with it. That time, he didn't.
First caution comes out at lap number 11 for Hornaday, right?
Well, guys, they got the left front corner all torn off of that. They had to take the air ducts out, obviously, and all that. Got the hood pounded down so Hornaday can see out. But remember, he came into this race 7th in points, but was only 46 points out, but already 3 or 4 laps down. Looks like it's going to be another tough night here for Ron Hornaday in the perfectly cooked meatball Chevy.
Let's go back to the start and watch Ron get in a little bit of trouble on the first lap. We talked about the fact that he was down in the center of the turn.
Yeah, this is going to be the other end. That's 1 and 2. Now we're going down the backstretch. Watch this now over in 3 and 4.
He was in the center of the corner. It started bobbling early. He gets sideways a whole lot like he did when he crashed. Harvick, his owner, was right on him then. And when he finally did go around, Harvick was right there as well.
And here's the accident that brought out our caution, most recent caution.
You see him right up in front. Right in front of the blue car. The black car there is Hornaday. Right in the center of the corner, Michael. Right when you talk about it, you get back in the throttle. Maybe just a little bit too much throttle. It brought the back end around and couldn't quite catch it.
No Aaron's free pass. There was no one just 1 lap down. Green flag comes back out.
Great start by Elliott Sadler. He's going to try to bring James Buescher with him. Brendan Gaughan fighting back on the inside.
That's a really tough place to be where Brendan is. He's used to running the top. He's been up top. Now all of a sudden he's got that truck pinched to the bottom. He's not going to get a break either from Kyle Busch. He'll follow James Buescher through. Brendan will probably settle down behind Kyle and try to get to the top of the track. We know how much he likes it up there.
Brendan Gaughan drops back into the 4th spot. Nelson Piquet Jr. just behind him in the 8, running 5th. There's a gaggle of trucks.
Bit of a quagmire back there. Austin Dillon The 3 truck right in the middle of that. See a little bit of sparks out of that truck.
Timothy Peters right in the mix there in the 17 truck.
Yeah, he's been going places where I haven't seen anybody else occupy yet. Way high in the turns, and he's already driven up through a lot of these trucks.
I'll tell you where he's been going is upwards in the point standings here lately. Great 4-race stretch for Timothy Peters.
Running in the 22nd position now, actually gets by Cole Witt for 21st.
3-2-10 and a win has been his last 4 finishes.
Which at Bristol, those are magic numbers. Cole Witt drops back. He's got that 87. Jones just behind him. There's Johanna Long in the 20. We see Brendan Gaughan once again trying to hold on to his track position. Now he's got Kevin Harvick all over his back bumper.
Kevin has been able to get by his driver, the 8 of Nelson Piquet Jr., and chase down the 62 of Brendan Gaughan.
You know, it's so funny, Phil. For so many years, you just had to be dead down on the bottom of the racetrack here at Bristol. Seeing guys wandering around up high and not being passed, it's different.
You used to have nightmares about getting off the bottom of the racetrack here. The only way you ever got off the bottom is when somebody knocked you off the bottom.
13th and 14th, side by side. Josh Richards in the 51, Crafton in the 88. Crafton takes that 13th spot.
Oliver's daddy is all over the back of Richards trying to grab that spot. Look, little contact there on the front straightaway.
James Busher, Kyle Busch on the left side of your screen. Those 2 racing for the 2nd spot. So it's Sadler out in front by 7/10 of a second.
When is that 31 truck going to win a race? Been all over. What an incredible season. We talk about it. The fact he missed Phoenix, then had 1 bad finish. Otherwise, every finish in the top 10 this year.
Very impressive year he has put together. James Busher, Johnny Sauter, Austin Dillon, Timothy Peters just separated by 23 points in our point standings.
There's your spotlight guys, Phil. Agnew is hanging right in there running with Austin Dillon, Timothy Peters, so he's getting his chance and he's taking advantage of it. He's running with the good guys.
Yeah, so excited to be here too, and great equipment right there too. Has an ECR engine, so they really did it right.
This cat knows how to race. He's raced all over the Southeast, and one race is all over the place. This is just a bigger stage for him to show his skills off in. And, you know, I love what he's doing. He's just looking to be really patient, keeping his truck down low on the track, not messing with those guys. He needs to spend half this race just learning what's going on out there.
And it's interesting to see, you talk about learning, he's 46 years old, but he's running against some of the best in the business now. When you come to Bristol, you race against the Harvicks, the Kyle Busch, the Hornadays, the Bodines.
Trouble off 2.
Stars of this series, and around goes, it looks like Josh Richards in the 51.
See if everybody can get down. They're getting low. Good job by the spotters and by all the drivers of getting to the bottom of the racetrack. You're down in the corner. You're still running over 100 miles an hour, Phil. You can't just turn left off the track. You got to have some warning. And the spotters gave some warning. I watched that wreck happen. Miguel Paludo was down on the inside of Richards. He got loose and ran into Josh.
Josh was running in the 14th spot when the incident happened.
Things happen quick here at the world's fastest half mile. Stay with us. More racing from Bristol after this. Friday, Thunder Valley will be rocking as the wildest party in racing gets revved up in Bristol. Tune in as Mark Martin and Scott Speed stop by for some fun. NASCAR Trackside from Bristol Friday. That's 11 Eastern right here on Speed. What a gorgeous sight it is.
What a gorgeous night, too.
Yeah. Motor Speedway. Beautiful night. Second caution has come out. This one for Josh Richards, and it looks as though Miguel Paludo had a little to do with the 51 going around.
Yeah, they had run side by side for about a half a lap, Rick, and when they got to turn 1, check this out. As soon as Miguel turns for the corner, he's sideways.
See him right there.
Right there, he's already out of whack.
Sideways. He's going to have to chase it. And then, boom, there's the contact right there. Listen to the tires now when he gets sideways. The tires were squealing on Miguel Paludo's, and then they were really squealing on Josh Richards' truck.
If Josh could have just heard those squealings, he would have went higher. You know, we were at Pocono, and you remember when Hornaday dove on the inside of Mark Martin? I talked to Mark the next day. I said, how did you keep from wrecking? He said, I just felt like he wasn't going to make that corner the way he was going at it. So Mark goes up way high and gives Ron room to save his truck. And that's what maybe a more experienced Josh Richards would have done. He would have moved up and given that cat a little bit more room.
Army, Phil and Michael have talked about James Busher and his good run already this evening. Is tonight the night he gets to victory lane?
Well, these guys are very excited. The crew chief, Mike Shelton, has told him you need to run the top of the racetrack when you can, and they expect all the leaders to pit on the next caution. And when they do, they're looking at a right front air pressure adjustment. The 31 is free on entry, Rick.
Thanks, Harvey. Field all back in line, 2 by 2. The pace car is going to make a hard left turn onto pit road, leaving the field back in the hands of Elliott Sadler and James Busher making up row number 1. Sadler chooses the outside line. Green flag goes back in the air.
You'll see if Brendan can pin down James Busher to the inside of the racetrack. See that South Point truck on the outside. He does keep him pinned down and see if he can clear him by the time he gets down here to the other end.
Brendan's preferred line a little bit off the bottom of the racetrack, trying to take that second spot away from James Busher across the stripe. It's Brendan Gaughan in second, Busher back to third. Here comes Kyle Busch on the outside.
It's hard to believe that you can line up on the inside in the front row and that being a disadvantage on a restart.
At Bristol.
At Bristol.
Sorry.
3 wide at Bristol, just behind the lead trucks. It's getting a little crazy here early on in this one.
There's so much action on this little track. Look at this glob of trucks. And they were 3 wide last time coming off turn 4. Scared me.
Max Pappas on the inside of that 32 truck.
This is a small racetrack, and you cannot look everywhere you need to look for all the action. But where our cameras are going to have it.
Guys, you hear me say woo a little minute ago? Let me show you what I was wooing at. Watch this move. Ross Chastain and Timothy Peters have both crashed once today, so I guess they said, well, we're going to be on it the rest of the day. Look at that pack of trucks.
Blake Feast right in the middle in that 32 truck. They made it 3 wide coming out of turn 4 at Bristol. Todd Bodine in the 5 truck, that Valvoline sponsored Toyota Tundra. Came on to pit road. A few trucks did come down to pit road. The top 18 stayed on the racetrack, but Timothy Peters was on pit road. Todd Bodine was on pit road. Ross Chastain, Kligerman on back.
Timothy tried to go to the outside of the 20 truck. Johanna Long, I don't think she realized he was there. Now he's got a good run. He'll go ahead and make that pass.
Johanna Long qualified 14th in this one. And again, we talked about the 17 of Timothy Peters. That's a backup truck, so he had to start this race at the back of the field. Has already been on pit road and now working his way back up. He's running 18th.
And the reason he had to go to the back is because he did not get that truck out to practice. If the backup truck would have been able to practice before the end of practice, then they would have let him stay where he qualified.
What about Kevin Harvick? He's leaning on James Busher a little bit as they went down into turn 1. Harvick was saying, man, I need a little bit of space. Looks like he's going to tell him again. That's how you communicate. Yes.
You don't have a horn here.
Now at Daytona Talladega, you could be on his frequency. But here you're going to use the bumper.
Yeah, you have to. Harvick looks like he got a little aggressive there and then faded back.
Look at the lead that Elliott Sadler has. 1.3 seconds in front of Kyle Busch, who's now running in the 2nd spot. Brendan Gaughan runs 3rd. Busher and Harvick, your top 5. Elliott Sadler has led every lap, 46 of the 200. He's been out front, but can Kyle Busch reel him in? Currently running 2nd.
Kevin Harvick brings the Hunt Brothers Chevy to pit road on lap 53. They like the way the truck is running. They've just been fighting track position. It'll be 4 tires, Sunoco fuel, and no adjustments for Kevin Harvick. Right?
On the front end, Kyle Busch wants a track bar adjustment. They're going to go down 3/4 of a round. It'll be fuel and tires for that number $18 General Tundra. Brendan Gaughan really good on the entry to the corner, but not happy with the way it rolls through the center. They're going to make a wedge adjustment on that South Point Tundra. All the way down here in pit stall number 1, we see Elliott Sadler. He pulls in. Keep in mind, this is a truck that was built by Kevin Harvick Incorporated. It's from Joe Dennett Motorsports, and he said, I love the way the rear end is in the track, but it is just a little bit free on entry. Ernie Cope, his crew chief tonight, called for an air pressure adjustment. Pit crew from Hendrick Motorsports, but Kevin Harvick will be the first off pit road. Elliott Sadler is going to race Kyle Busch, and it'll be I don't know who got to the line first.
It was a good battle off of pit road. Again, they have to come on to pit road coming off of turn number 2 under caution. If it's a green flag pit stop, they can come in either side, whichever one that they are pitted on. Take a look at why we're under caution.
This was a couple of guys that got to pushing on each other. Looks like Jake Crum just clobbers the back of the 87 truck, as he entered the corner, Chris Jones spun around and clobbered the wall, and he wasn't too happy about it. Watch him go.
He's going to chase down Jake Crum in the 0-1. He's going to run into him after the caution comes out. There's the contact right there. Timothy Peters got a little bit of a piece of that in the aftermath.
Watch this, just a bunt right in the back as they enter the corner. That's a terrible place to get hit. Your truck's a little bit light in the back anyway because you've gotten off the gas and down on the brakes a little bit, lifting the back end up. So just the slightest hit.
This is Miguel Paludo's onboard. That's what's happening right in front of him. He does a nice job.
What about Timothy Peters? He was all up in the middle of that.
Yeah, Timothy might have got a little bit of a piece of that. You're so vulnerable when you're entering the corner. That's the most vulnerable you are on this racetrack as you enter the corner. You're entering the corner as hard as you can enter it, and then he got pushed into the corner even harder, and that's why Chris Jones went around.
This was just, I don't appreciate that.
I don't think Chris Jones committed enough to retaliating there. I think he started to retaliate and then decided, okay, maybe I better not retaliate.
Experience tells me that probably saved him $5,000 or so.
Then as Adcock saying, just calm down. I understand. It's hard to do. But calming down now would be good.
He's very upset. I'd find me a place to cool off because
they put so much effort into running an event like this. And Chris Jones had a pretty good truck in practice. He had some really good practice times. Ended up qualifying in the 24th position, which isn't bad at all. And to get taken out like that, we know how he feels.
You scrape, you save, you do all you can to get to Bristol, and you're out there racing with the stars of NASCAR, and somebody just, you feel like wrongfully took your chance away.
Tempers definitely flare. Well, September 11th, the NFL regular season begins with a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. First, the Falcons take on the Bears in Chicago as two of the NFC best go head-to-head. Then the Giants take on the Redskins in D.C. or other regional action. Coverage begins Sunday, September 11th with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL pregame show. That's at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
This is my year for the Lions. This is my year.
I thought you said it was a 50-year rebuilding.
This is the 49th of the 50-year rebuilding program.
All right.
Yes.
Jay White will bring him to the green. Y'all guys remember back in 2009, he had 80-some laps here, so he's no stranger to the front of the field at Bristol. Used a little bit of pit strategy that night to get the lead too, but then took him forever to overhaul him.
What an incredible jump he got over Parker Kligerman.
They're already talking about pit strategy down on pit road. One of the slow trucks getting back up to speed. The 73 of Brian Johnson Jr. having some troubles.
Kyle Busch went right through the middle of them.
Kyle Busch trying to get up to the front. Out in front, it is Jason White, Parker Kligerman. They pitted on lap 32. Behind him, Harvick and Busch pitted under this most recent caution. So that's how quickly those two have got to the front.
I think Kyle Busch had designs about going on the outside of Kevin Harvick, and he's there now, right at the start-finish line.
Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch racing for the third spot. Busch on the outside makes a big run down the backstretch as they go into turn number 3.
He has a preferred line down on the outside of the racetrack. Seeing clear Kevin Harvick as they exit the corner.
Harvick all over the back bumper, and we've got caution coming out once again. This time,
Jake Crum clobbers Max Pappas.
Ricky Carmichael's involved on the outside. You see Jake Crum's 0-1 truck running into the inside wall. There's Clay Rogers, the 92.
Looks like Clay's going to get away without much damage, Phil.
See, very minimal damage. A lot of damage to Jake Crum's truck.
That was late when the guys were sliding down the front straightaway. Hit Max Pappas really hard. Chris Jones can now talk to Jake Crum.
Yeah, I think Jake will probably be in the garage area with him.
I think Chris will be waiting for Jake to make his way into the garage. Ricky Carmichael, unfortunate once again. Let's take another look at what just happened.
Oh, flat right front on that. Well, there was 2 crashes.
Yeah, the accident had already happened here. Looked like Jake came along and ran into the 9 of Max Pappas.
I think John King, it looked like blew a right front tire. Looked like they were racing side to side, maybe Carmichael and Pappas. Carmichael got loose down on the bottom and caused those two to crash. And then coming off turn 4, John King's truck just ran straight into the wall.
There's the initial incident right there.
I don't think King did anything wrong. I think that just was coincidence. I don't think he could have locked up his brakes and hit the wall like that, do you?
I wouldn't think so.
Jake Crum will climb into the ambulance. We'll be back with more here from Bristol.
It's Camping World's Destination Recreation.
You know, folks, I just can't tell you how many times I've been to a store where somebody tried to sell me an extended service plan that I knew I didn't need. I mean, think about it. If you buy a $100 printer at the office store, I'm not going to pay $30 extra to get a 1 year extra coverage. But how about if you own an RV? Then I think it's a very, very good idea. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to call 1-800-34-QUOTE-ME, and someone from Good Sam will give you the information that you need. Now, think about it. What if your refrigerator goes out, or a whole system generator? What if your wastewater system goes down? All of those items under the RV service plan would be covered. And Good Sam has never failed to pay a covered claim. Lots of other providers can't say that. So do me a favor, get on the phone and check it out.
Welcome back to the O'Reilly 200 for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. There are the campers outside of the bull ring.
Such a big weekend here. Starts out really early in the week, but I think if they're not sold out, very close to being sold out here for Saturday night, 167,000 strong.
That is awesome. And those campers, Phil, whether there's a race here on Wednesday night or not, they usually start showing up about Monday. And they make a week of Bristol. There's so much excitement and energy in the air here.
Hermie Sadler.
Yeah, guys, Kevin Harvick currently in the 4th position, and he's talking with Bruce Cook, his crew chief, about fuel. And Bruce Cook has told him that as of right now, they are 8 laps short based on the fuel mileage they got their first run tonight. So they're saving a little bit here, hoping to get a little bit better fuel mileage down the stretch. But right now, he's 8 laps short. I wonder what the other guys in the top 5 are saying.
I think right now, if he's 8 laps short, all he needs is about 8 more laps of caution. That would probably get him in his window. It's just about 2 for 1, 2 caution laps per green flag lap. So if he's 8 short now, won't take many more caution laps.
He'll get in that wind in a hurry. Let's check this out, Rick. I talked earlier that maybe John King blew a tire before he hit that wall, but after studying it closer, looks like maybe that was just his reaction to what happened in front of him.
We saw Max sideways when they went out of view. Yeah. So the crash is happening on the front stretch.
And it looks like possibly he just got on the brakes too hard. I can't imagine it would have jumped out there that quickly. But watch Jake Crum, boom, right into the side of Max Pappas, destroying both those trucks.
Right along with Ross Chastain in the 66.
You see Max in the 4, the Max in the 9, and the 4 Ricky Carmichael get together. That's what caused the initial incident.
You know, Ross Chastain's running along 6-8 trucks from the back of the pack, and he's thinking, I got me a gap here, I'm going to be fine. All of a sudden, just in 2 seconds, he's in the middle of a crash.
That's how quick it happens here at this racetrack.
I was going to say, which driver do you think will be the first one to go up to the 0-1 team?
Well, you see
Chris Jones?
Dennis Adcock, he's staying really, really close to Chris Jones. He wants to make sure he knows where Chris is headed.
They back the truck up. Again, the 0-1, anytime you get involved in an accident where you are not able to bring your truck back into the garage or onto pit road, they make you go to the infield care center.
This is what Chris Jones is so upset about. He got clobbered from behind. And I think he just wants to have a word with Jake, and that's fine, as long as we can just have words.
And right now, Jake's thinking, I know he's going to be mad at me. I didn't mean to do that. He's going to say that you slowed down a little bit earlier than I thought you were going into turn 3, and that may certainly be valid, but he's trying to figure out how to get out of this, isn't he, Ray?
Well, guys, I'm trying to get through all the NASCAR officials down here. They're all here just in case. And, Chris, I know frustrating night early on here. Tell us from your vantage point what happened on the racetrack.
From my vantage point, I got plumb run over. I mean, he pushed me down the front straightaway and pushed me down the back straightaway and just knocked me off in the corner and, destroyed the truck for no reason. I mean, 40 laps into the race, it's just, I don't know if he run out of talent or brains or what it was, but I don't know. Just
the ultimate irony is his truck's parked right beside yours, so you may get a chance to talk to him. What will you say?
Just ask him what he was thinking. I mean, there's 40 laps into the race, man. There's no point to go out there and run over top of somebody for no reason.
All right, going back to green here, guys. Back to the booth.
Green flag back in the air. Jason White, Parker Kligerman 1 and 2 as they go into 1 and 2. Kligerman with a great restart, battling side by side with Jason White down the backstretch.
Both these guys on the same pit strategy. Both these trucks pitted on lap number 32. Jason gets a nice run through the center of the corner to pull out in front of Parker, and here comes Kevin Harvick.
Are we going to go 3 wide?
Kyle Busch would like.
We are 3 wide.
3 wide in the middle. It's Kyle Busch in the 18. Down on the bottom, the 29 of Parker Kligerman. Way up the racetrack has to go Elliott Sadler in the 24.
Kyle just ran that corner like Elliott wasn't there, didn't he?
Well, I think what you saw there was Kyle saying, I know Elliott's a fast truck. I got to do away with him. If he gets out in front, I don't know if I'm going to be able to catch him. He took a chance, split them 3 wide, and made it work.
Miguel Paludo in the 7, running in the 8th spot. Timothy Peters just in front of him. Side by side, Harvick and Kyle Busch. We talked about this to start the show. Both of them on streaks.
Nobody's been able to go down like that and pass fast trucks. I mean, we've seen guys come up through the field passing on the bottom, but once you get up in the top 2 or 3, we haven't seen that move accomplished. Be interesting to see if Kyle can pull it off.
Kyle gets a nice run through the center of the corner. Wasn't able to do anything on the exit.
Here comes Elliott.
There by Elliott Sadler, got in the back of the 18.
You think Elliott's saying, don't be crowding me, boy.
Tapped him again. Remember, we talked about Kyle running that corner before a few laps ago like Elliott wasn't even there. I don't think Elliott liked that.
Jason White, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Elliott Sadler, Brendan Gaughan. They're your top 5. James Buescher, Timothy Peters, Parker Kligerman, Johnny Sauter, Miguel Paludo, your top 10.
This is a great battle. Harvick is holding those 2 off, and that tells you they're running into each other and still able to keep up with Kevin. So these are a couple of really fast trucks. And you know who's loving all that bumping and banging?
Jason White.
Jay White.
Jason White out in front by 1.3 seconds last time by. Things happen quickly here. Laps clicking off at 16 seconds.
The Jay White fan club is meeting at Red Rocks right now, enjoying this great run by Jason White.
And what a great night already for Joe Donette Motorsports. Out in front with Jason White, running 4th with Elliott Sadler.
How about this now?
Crafton.
Unscheduled pit stop from Matt Crafton, calling for right side tires on the Menard Chevy.
We have to go back out onto the racetrack.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Matt.
Jay White, now the 1 second lead. Kevin Harvick continues to close down that gap between 1st and 2nd. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick chasing Jason White, a truck regular. There's a lot of chasing going on this racetrack and a lot of words that are going to be exchanged. It's short track racing from Bristol. Caution comes out once again. Johanna Long stopped right in front of the entrance to pit road coming out of turn number 4. And that's because there was a slow truck in front of her that she was trying to avoid.
Yeah, she was trying to avoid. You see the 7 truck. Looks like an engine problem for Miguel Paludo. He was really, really slow on the racetrack. Everybody was going inside and outside of him. He was trying to make his way back down to the bottom so he could come to the garage area. And unfortunately, Johanna at the last second ended up turning her truck around to avoid Miguel.
Tough night for the first-time father.
See him slow right there. This is going in turn 1.
Whoa.
The lap before.
David Starr had some serious issues getting by him, didn't he?
Had to slow down, checked up.
He wants to get to the bottom, but he started right there to go to the bottom. Jeff Agnew was coming along. Oh, look, Ross Chastain got in the back of Johanna Long and turned her around. That's what happened.
We should go inside Mellon 1. That's Mellon 2.
Mellon 2, yeah. Mellon 1 was lost in practice.
Listen and see if we can hear us. There goes his engine laying down, Phil.
It's a vivid example of the sound. Ooh, David Starr did a nice job. PK Jr. got in the back of him. Watch this now. When we get down to the other end, that was David Mayhew going by in the 19 truck. There was Jeff Agnew getting by on the inside.
This is inside of Ross Chastain's truck. He gets down in the back of Johanna. He couldn't see up there. He didn't know. He knew there were some issues with the 7 truck, but he couldn't tell where he was.
Yeah, Johanna was slowing down because of the 7 because she was right behind it.
And look at the damage to Mellon 2.
A little more damage to the front end of the 66.
A lot more damage to the front end.
He will head on to pit road. They will take a look See if they can fix that issue.
How about an Aaron's lucky dog for Clay Rogers?
Gets a lap back. Clay Rogers trying to break into that top 20. Next Wednesday, Dumbest Stuff on Wheels returns with an all-new episode. See the most outrageous and, well, downright stupid situations, crashes, and mishaps ever caught on tape. Don't miss an all-new Dumbest Stuff on Wheels. That's next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Speed. Getting ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. It's short track racing from Bristol Motor Speedway. Closing in on the halfway point of this one.
Had a couple guys have words on the track. They're waiting to look like have them in the infield. We saw Elliott Sadler get mad at Kyle Busch, run up and hit him. Kevin Harvick bounced off of a couple of guys. So this is building to a big, big finish, Rick.
Teammate Ron Hornaday being one of them on the very first lap.
Yeah, I don't think he ran into him on purpose.
He did.
But at a racetrack like this, again, things happen so quickly that there's going to be incidental contact.
Like Ross Chastain, you know, he was way back near the back of the field. All of a sudden, he's looking around. He's got trucks spinning in front of him, behind him. He's in the middle of a crash. It's amazing how fast things slip up on you, sneak up on you.
They were ready to go back to Green Flag Racing, but the 73 of Brian Johnson Jr. had problems. They had to push him back into the garage, so they told him to go around one more time. Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you in high definition by Funai. Funai, fun and innovative. Experience more at FunaiAmerica.com. By the 100% reinvented Ford Explorer. Drive one. And by Aaron's. You don't need credit. All you need is Aaron's. Right.
Guys, real quickly, just wanted to give you an update. The number 7 Stemco Duraliner Tundra is out for the night. Apparently a problem in the engine, so Miguel Paludo will finish at least 30th tonight. They're out.
And a tough situation. His teammate right now running 7th, Timothy Peters. So a difficult night for Miguel Paludo. Coming out of turn 4, green flag back in the air.
Kevin Harvick would love to wrestle this lead away from Jay White.
Jay's been really solid on the top. Kevin makes a strong run on 2. He's got to clear him there. He won't get it.
He almost cleared him there.
Moves up the racetrack. He takes the top spot away. Here comes Kyle Busch on the inside. Haven't seen a lot of passes made on the inside. And this time, Jason White's able to surge out in front.
What about Kevin Harvick? What an aggressive restart he had.
Oh! Kyle Busch into the wall hard.
Elliott Sadler and Kyle Busch make contact. It's not going to be 4 in a row for Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch, right front damage, severe damage, and we got problems in turn number 4. Josh Richards in the 51 is around. The 09 also with problems. That's Brian Silas. No caution.
We stay green.
Those guys all got going in a hurry.
Kyle Busch trying to make his way down the racetrack. He is still slow as we pass the halfway point. Kyle working his way through 3 and 4. Now he ducks down to the bottom of the track, but he stays on the track.
Elliott and Kyle had issues earlier in the race. You remember when Elliott and Kyle got together and Elliott ran up and sort of hit Kyle in the back to let him know he didn't like what he saw.
And there Kyle goes for retaliation. Hits the 24 of Elliott Sadler. Sadler goes around. This time the caution comes out.
Holy cow.
Is it a full moon?
It's Bristol.
That's enough. We don't even need a full moon.
Kyle Busch waited on the racetrack. He goes right back behind the wall. And he'll climb out of that 18 truck. But he waited on the racetrack long enough for Elliott Sadler to come back by. He got his retaliation, spun the 24. And Kyle Busch has parked the 18 behind the wall.
I would think that NASCAR's probably going to tell his guys not to even worry about fixing that truck because we may not let you back out.
Yeah, I think that's about enough is what NASCAR will say about that.
Look at the damage to the 24, the Joe Donette Motorsports second entry tonight.
The 24 truck didn't hit anything with the front end, Phil. He has that damage on the left rear. I don't think that'll really hurt that truck much. He gets to pit road, gets him some tires. His strategy will be a little bit different than some of the other guys. This isn't over, Rick. He could still have a shot at winning this thing.
Started on the pole. Take a look at what just took place.
This is the initial incident right here. See Elliott right up against the wall. Kyle came up the racetrack like he wasn't there. Now, granted, Elliott didn't have a whole lot of his truck there, but he was making the move on the outside, had momentum on the outside.
Well, they had issues earlier. If Elliott Sadler hadn't been roughed up by Kyle earlier, he would have probably let him have that bit of space. But they had issues earlier, and Elliott said, you're not taking it from me again.
There it is right there. You see Elliott had committed to the high side. He had a little bit of momentum on Kyle Busch. If Kyle hadn't moved up, Elliott probably would have went on by him. But there was the contact. There it is, and there's another view of it right there.
We saw Kevin Harvick do basically that same thing to Jason White on the restart. He crowded him up off the corner. Not as bad as Kyle tried to crowd up Elliott, but he did crowd him up.
Riding along with Kyle, this is what happens into the wall.
I think that's a situation where he thought he was clear. He came off that corner like he was clear.
And this is the retaliation. Elliott Sadler tries to go by. Kyle Busch speeds up, clips him in the left rear, spins him around,
and then hits him in the left rear again.
Yeah, we're really fortunate that nobody else was involved, and that's the problem when you're going to
look at James.
You're going to take matters in your own hand. There was a guy on the inside, the 31, that's battling for this championship. If he gets caught up in it, then that's residual that shouldn't have happened.
Watch, he spins him around, but it looks like he even goes after him again and tries to clobber the left rear of that truck.
The hits just keep coming for the driver of the 18. He lost his license earlier this week for the speeding issue he had back in North Carolina. Now he has this issue on the racetrack at Bristol, trying to go for 6 in a row, 6 wins in NASCAR's top 3 divisions.
Well, the preliminary bout we had was Jones and Crump.
Yeah,
so
that was the undercard.
That was the undercard.
The main event.
This is the main event, I would say, here is the 18 of Kyle Busch and the 24 of Elliott Sadler. Elliott's still on the racetrack, still with a reasonable chance at winning this race. It doesn't appear that his damage is too severe. He's going to have to come to pit road, get that rear tailgate tied up there.
And he's going to need some tires.
So he makes his way onto pit road now. Let's go down trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, guys, they are going to fix this Dollar General Tundra for Kyle Busch to get him back out there. Not sure why. I guess for the owner's points, they have to put a spindle on the right front, and they do have some fender damage here in the left front that they hope to fix. But it appears like once they get that spindle replaced and an upper front control arm, they should be ready to go back to the track. So Kyle not getting out of his truck, and they are planning to return to try to acquire some more points.
And guys, we called it up here that Kyle thought he probably had Elliott cleared there. Spotters are pretty important at this racetrack. Does a spotter say you're clear, you go up, you get hit, and then all of a sudden a spotter's almost got to cover his behind and say, yeah, he came up, got you, and that's why there's retaliation.
Well, you have such a great relationship usually from driver to spotter. Those guys are best buddies most of the time. They trust each other immensely. If the spotter did say clear and he turned and Kyle turned right into the wall, you would think that Kyle would say to the spotter, was I clear? And maybe the answer was, I thought you were, but obviously he wasn't. But you've got a driver like Kyle Busch. I'm almost assuming that he clears himself a lot of the times. Most of the top drivers, the spotter's there to help, but generally they have a feel about what they're doing, and they can feel if they've got that guy cleared, and they know the momentum they've had. So he might have assumed that he had more of Elliott behind him than he did and tried to crowd him up, and it didn't work.
And this plays big into our owner points right now. Delana Harvick, the owner of the 2, driven by Kevin Harvick. The 18, the owner, Kyle Busch, driven by Kyle Busch. Coming in dead even. They were tied for the lead in owner points, and that's a big thing to accomplish. Kyle Busch coming into the series a year ago won his first ever owner championship in the Truck Series.
And last week at Michigan, Kyle had issues. That's why this thing was tied up. He had a huge lead a few races ago, and Kevin's come back.
And here comes Kevin on the outside. He gets the restart he wanted. Jason White on the inside drops back to second.
Yeah, Kevin wasn't going to let Jason White do to him what he did to Jason White. By crowding him a little bit, Kevin got that great jump.
Big run by the 62 of Brendan Gaughan, running in the 3rd spot right now. Here comes Todd Bodine in the 5. He's making his pass around the 31 of James Busher. Bodine up to 4th.
Remember, we talk about Todd Bodine all the time. Never had won on a short track, but he's finished second 3 times here, Michael.
Timothy Peters on the outside of Parker Kligerman. Those 2 run side by side.
This is a short track that thinks it's a super speedway, though, so maybe Todd thinks it is, too.
Peters has cleared the 29 of Parker Kligerman. Now Johnny Sauter going to the outside, takes that spot away from Kligerman as well. Here comes Nelson Piquet Jr. in the 8. Parker Kligerman's realized the bottom of the racetrack isn't working for him.
going to move up the racetrack now. See Johnny Sauter trying to make the move on the bottom on the 17 of Timothy Peters. Having a tough way to go there as well.
It's a good battle. Johnny Sauter running the 13th spot. Excuse me, he's moved up inside the top 10. They were battling for position outside the top 10. Both these guys are moving forward.
Around goes Josh Richards once again. Nowhere to go for the 32 of Blake Feast. And as well, Max Pappas caught up in this one. The 4 of Ricky Carmichael also involved.
Tough night.
So Carmichael and Max Pappas involved in an incident earlier. Once again, they're involved in an incident trying to slow down as Josh Richards slides sideways across the track.
Yeah, I think that was in the aftermath of trying to avoid Josh Richards. But look at the Geico Toyota right there for Max Pappas.
It's a good thing he has Geico.
We saw a modified race earlier, and we're starting to see more modified trucks on the racetrack now.
Will Geico cover that?
I think it's fully covered. He has full coverage.
This is the 39 of Ryan Sieg and the 51 of Josh Richards racing. They make contact going in the corner. Josh tried to stay off the 39.
I think the 39 kind of caused that. He dove down, and Josh was in a bad spot. Then what happens? It looks like maybe
Max was around. And
probably
Ricky
got hit
Carmichael
from behind by
another
truck.
See the spin up in front. Now Ross Chastain getting by, doing a nice job avoiding it.
Looked like in the back maybe Ricky Carmichael hit Max Pappas and turned him around as well.
So Ryan Sieg in the 39 involved in this one. The O'Reilly 200 from Bristol Motor Speedway continues after this. Saturday NASCAR race day revs up in Thunder Valley before NASCAR's best battle in the bull ring. Tune in as JR, Kenny, Kyle, Wendy, and Hermie give you the ultimate setup to the world's fastest half-mile NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot Saturday at 5 Eastern, live on Speed. You know, there's a lot of natural springs around the Bristol area. There was an incident on pit road, I think, involving one of those natural springs. Fireman, whoa, take a look.
Goes. And probably no damage to anybody, right?
I wouldn't think. I mean, that's inside of pit wall. Nobody's got to be involved in this. Yeah. Oh, maybe our own Hermie Sadler. Sorry, Hermie.
Well, I had a lot of information I was getting ready to share with everybody at home. No more. My notes are done, so I'm going by ear the rest of the night. I need a bathing suit.
Oh, it's a tough night. Tough night.
Elliott gets spun out. Hermie gets showered upon. Rough little patch here for the Sadler brothers.
Sadlers are taking it. Just glad Wyatt wasn't around. Getting ready to go back to green flag racing. It's Kevin Harvick once again out in front of Jason White. Harvick will start on the outside. Jason White on the inside as they come out of turn number 4. Row 2, Brendan Gaughan, Todd Bodine. Green flag goes back in the air.
Good jump again by Kevin Harvick. Clears Jason White. Todd goes way up the racetrack.
His teammate, Brendan Gaughan, looks to the inside. Now he'll tuck in behind, running in the 4th spot. James Busher, what a run he had in the 31 to move up to the 5th spot.
He's got to clear that 22 of Joey Coulter, not able to do it yet. Drives it hard down in the corner.
Todd wandering up to the high side of the track was a huge break for Jason White. He was able to stay on that inside and get the 2nd spot. Sometimes you get freight trained if you get stepped down on the bottom.
Just like James Busher potentially could do right here.
James Busher really running hard at the bottom of the racetrack.
Joey Coulter hanging tough there. Look at them lined up on the outside like vultures to try to get by that 31 truck.
James Busher trying to find a spot to move up the racetrack. Amazing that you say that at Bristol, but Joey Coulter on the outside of him now. Right.
Well, guys, Joey Coulter came on the radio and said, my truck is getting better and better on the longer runs. He was a little bit loose, but as that fuel burns off, he really likes the way the momentum is carrying him off that high side.
Everybody, most of the field pitted on lap number 54. We heard Bruce Cook say they needed 8 more caution laps. Well, he's got those 8 laps. We've had 32 caution laps since that lap 54 pit stop by most of the guys. The only 2 trucks I'm worried about are Jay White and Parker Kligerman, who both pitted on lap number 32. But I think we've even had enough for them.
And I think we're going to have more. Bristol's got her teeth back, baby. She's biting these guys tonight. Our stars are biting. We've had an undercard. What's next?
Well, Kevin Harvick, who last ran here in 2004, the year before that, had a dominant race. Looked as though he was going to win, and he had the problem of never winning from any racetrack other than Phoenix at that time. It looked like he was only going to be able to win on the flat mile racetrack of Phoenix. Well, he came here, looked dominant, led over 100 of the laps here in this race, and blew a tire on the last lap and enabled Travis Kvapil to get by him.
Yeah, he didn't look like he was going to win. He was going to win. Coming off of turn 4, coming for the white, he cut down that tire.
You know why we have such a tight points battle in the Truck Series? Because of that. There they are. There's our top 4 in points, and they're all globbed right together.
31 of Buscher running in the 6th spot. Peters is 7th. Austin Dillon 8th. Johnny Sauter 9th.
All within 10 points, Michael, of each other. Our chase has begun. 10 races to go this season. We have our chase.
Yeah, we don't have to reset the points
No
here.
reset.
We're so tight. We just go into 10 races to go and see who can come out on top. All 4 of our point leaders right together.
Running nose to tail around Bristol Motor Speedway.
James has scooted away from him a little bit, Phil. Looks like Timothy might be holding up Sauter and Dillon.
Austin's been trying to make the move on the bottom, hasn't been able to clear Timothy yet.
Timothy running through the middle of the racetrack. Austin Dillon trying to hug the apron, get some grip down low, and looks like he's gaining a little position on that 17.
What Austin's doing right now, if he can gain a couple feet a straightaway, if he can just gain a couple feet, eventually he'll get the 20 feet it's going to take to clear that truck.
But it's so hard, Phil. You can see he gains a couple feet, then he loses 4 or 5. Running that low road is just so difficult. You eventually have to, as these laps wind down, start crowding people, leaning on them a little bit. We saw how mad Elliott Sadler got at Kyle Busch for leaning on him earlier in the race. The same thing will happen at the end.
67 laps of racing remain from Bristol Motor Speedway. Kevin Harvick has a 1-second lead over Jason White. Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway, the O'Reilly 200. 142 laps in the book. 143 laps in the books now. 57 to go. They go that fast. I can't get a complete sentence out, and they've already completed a lap.
I'm going to tell you, this place messes me up a little bit. I mean, it's all packed in so tightly.
It is.
It makes me nervous.
Kevin Harvick out in front. He has a 0.7 of a second lead over Jason White. Brendan Gaughan has taken 3rd away from Todd Bodine, as has James Buscher, who now moves up to 4th. Bodine back to 5th.
Great battle right there. There's Todd Bodine, that 5 Valvoline truck in 5th. And that 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th right behind him. These guys have been side by side trying to get by each other for the last number of laps.
And you know, James Buscher was in the middle of that pack a minute ago. He scooted away from those guys. And as we run on the track now, he's grabbed the point lead. That's how quickly things change with these guys.
They're actually tied. He and Johnny Sauter right now are tied for the point lead.
Well, he hasn't grabbed it yet then, has he?
He's grabbed a share of it.
Little smoke coming out of the 66 of Ross Chastain. When I say a little smoke out of the 66, that's quite a bit less than when it caught fire when we were in Pocono.
Heavy traffic in front of Kevin Harvick. Josh Richards in the 51, Johanna Long in the 20. They were running side by side right in front of Kevin.
And look who's coming. That's Jason White, the next truck back. You can see the leader, Kevin Harvick, up there working through that lap traffic. Jason's fast, guys.
Difficulty for Harvick to get through the lap traffic allows the 23 of Jason White to close the gap. The 62 of Brendan Gaughan in that South Point Hotel and Casino Toyota Tundra moving up. He's in the 3rd spot, 1.8 seconds back from race leader Kevin Harvick. Now the field spread out all the way around this half-mile racetrack.
But there's action everywhere, Rick. There we are, 3 wide for our 2nd place driver. Ricky Carmichael's truck's wounded on the bottom, and Jason White had to charge in there and go way up the hill.
50 laps of racing to go. Kevin Harvick has a 1-second lead over Jason White. White will now have to work through the traffic to catch up to Harvick once again.
We talk about track position being important at this racetrack. This is a beautiful example of that. Johnny Sauter looks to have a really fast truck, but he's not able to make the pass on Austin Dillon.
We talked about Kevin Harvick and being able to make it to the end now that he had enough caution laps. Remember, Jason White came onto pit road on lap 32. So he has another 22 laps less fuel than Kevin Harvick does.
And there's been 38 laps since that lap 32 pit stop.
Under caution. So you get 2 laps for 1 under caution. Maybe even a little more than that.
At this racetrack.
Yes.
Still stretching it, but a possibility that he could make it all the way to the checker.
I think they can, even from lap 32. And I think all the guys that pitted on 54, which is the majority of the field, I think they're really good to go.
Brendan Gaughan, James Busher battling for the 3rd spot. Brendan Gaughan just in front of that 31.
See that battle for 7th on the right side of your screen. Johnny Sauter's been able to get by Austin Dillon. Now he's going after Timothy Peters. He's been doing it the hard way on the bottom. You see Joey Coulter now side by side with Todd Bodine. That is a battle for position for the 5th spot.
But what I love most about Sauter's truck, he can go really low. Did you see him off 2 over there? He was almost down off the concrete. He's not trying to crowd up and get that spot. He's just trying to drive on the bottom like that right there and take it away.
Watch this on the right side of your screen. It looks like Austin Dillon may have got really, really close to the outside wall. See if he makes any contact. He does. Incidental contact. Won't matter at all.
You don't want to get your right front fender into the wall here. You need that downforce on those front tires. But getting the right rear into it, I don't think hurts that much.
At Bristol, that short track racing, he just brushed the wall.
Yeah, just a incidental touch.
Side by side still for Coulter and Bodine.
This is an impressive run for Johnny Sauter, though, driving around those guys he's battling in the points.
Comes Johnny Sauter moving up into the mix.
Laps are winding down now, just 43 laps to go. Johnny Sauter trying to get some more of those points and positions.
I would have to say this repeatedly, but Johnny Sauter has the point lead now. But it swaps every lap just about.
They're separated by 2 points. There are 17 on the lead lap, and Harvick is out in front. Our Just for Men Mustache and Beard Keep Your Edge. One of the hardest places to keep your edge is on a short track, and especially here at Bristol. How about the 24 of Elliott Sadler?
Made contact with 18 of Kyle Busch, thought he was clear, got pinched in the wall, then he retaliated, turned Elliott around. You see the damage to the left rear corner of that truck, but he's hung in there.
Elliott says, I haven't done anything wrong. Why are you spinning me out?
Just for Men Mustache and Beard, keep your edge. And Elliott Sadler still trying to hang on to a good finish here. He's running in the 13th spot now. He's 8.6 seconds back from Kevin Harvick. The other one involved in that issue, well, he's sitting in his truck, still strapped in as they continue to work on the 18 truck in the garage. Just 31 laps to go from Bristol. Stay with us. Welcome back to the O'Reilly 200 under the 8th caution of the evening. This time it was the 70 of Jeff Agnew having troubles coming out of turn number 4. And into the wall he went. So that truck behind the wall and the crew working on it. Let's take a look.
It looked like a right front tire went for Jeff. So that's him in the orange truck right there.
That's not the worst place to have that happen. I mean, if you're going to blow one, he was able to get it almost turned sideways before it went in the outside wall. You come up off the corner with your foot on the floorboard and that thing goes, whew.
Yeah, that's the slowest part of the racetrack where that happens. So again, it's not good, but it's probably as good as it could have been.
We were riding along with Ross Chastain, and he was posted by NASCAR. He had to come down to pit road, so this caution good for him. Ray.
Well, guys, just want to let you know that Parker Kligerman gave up 11th place on lap 173 to come down and get 4 tires and fuel on this truck. Big question I want to know is, can tires make a difference in this short amount of time? Also want to get an update on James Busher. Let's go to the other end, Hermie.
Well, Ray, James Busher's had a pretty good night, although at a quiet night. He ran in the top 5 pretty much all night, currently sits 4th. A good effort when you consider that James Busher has been under the weather pretty much all day. He's been in the infield care center getting some extra fluids and IVs to make these 200 laps tonight. And he's got a pretty good truck like everybody else, fighting track position, but a good effort for James Busher. Ray?
Well, Hermie, let's go up to second place. James, the number 23, was very, very close on fuel. They've been telling me on the radio, you got to save some. But Jay White's going to be okay here with these couple extra laps of caution. They are fine. Running in second right now. And he says his truck is just a little bit tight in the center. He's going to try to get something on Elliott Sadler here, or excuse me, on Kevin Harvick on this restart. Maybe his last chance.
Going to be a big advantage for James Busher. He will be able to line up on the outside right behind Kevin Harvick. He's been racing really, really hard for the last number of laps with that 62 South Point Toyota of Brendan Gaughan. He's going to have the advantage now on the restart.
And man, Jason White was closing in on Harvick. His truck is getting really good the later this race gets, and so this could be fun at the end.
Now it's going to be an advantage, you mentioned, for James Buescher, because he'll start on the outside of row number 2 as we see Kyle Busch is out of his truck. Looks as though they won't go back out on the racetrack after being involved in the incident with Elliott Sadler. But again, James Buescher having a very good evening. We talk about when can he get to victory lane. This is a great opportunity for him to take second away from Jason White, because he'll be on the outside, and then he will have to battle with Kevin Harvick.
You know, one good thing about Jason White's truck, though, that's where he likes to run. He's been running on the bottom of the track while chasing Kevin Harvick down, so there might be worse people to have on the inside. Jason might be able to pull it off. I think you're right. Brendan's in trouble.
I think he's in trouble because he and James Buescher appear to have equal trucks, and James is going to have that advantage on the outside. It all depends on when Brendan can get back in that outside line, because they're going to be lined up on that outside line.
Clay Rogers in the 92.
And by the way, it's desperation time. I mean, we got to go.
Look at the media swarming around the driver of the 18, Kyle Busch. There's bumping and banging on the racetrack, and well, there was a little bumping and banging taking place around Kyle Busch as he's trying to walk back to his hauler.
It looks like the Pied Piper, doesn't it?
Yeah, he has got a big crowd around him, and obviously he is not very happy as he's walking, trying not to talk to anyone. Right.
Well, we'll see if we can get with Kyle here. He does talk to the media a little bit. Kyle, obviously a frustrating night out there. I know it looked like it was retaliation. I know he had Saturday. Do you think he dumped you intentionally?
Yeah, sure he did. Where's his paycheck come from, Ray?
I got that one.
Just, we were racing earlier in the night. I pulled a slide job on him. He ran into me 3 times after that. And then got clear of him for a while. And then on that restart there, I was trying to slide him, get up to the top. And Spider said I was clear. I was clear at the time. Maybe I was too late. But he hooked me anyway and wrecked us. So I'm not going to put up with it.
Before the wreck happened, do you think you had a truck good enough to win?
I don't know. Track position is way too important. You know, with these trucks here, the motors, the gears, everything we've got, it's the wrong tire for here. So just really hard to pass. But anything can happen. You know, you can certainly make moves through traffic. You know, I felt like we were probably the best truck here in practice, but it doesn't matter right now.
Okay, they had worked on the truck to try to get it back in. Kyle out. Obviously, they are not going to get back in and get any extra points.
And Ray, huge story now. Jason White stopped on the racetrack. He was running second.
Got to be out of gas.
We thought he was going to have an issue with fuel. He stopped on pit road on lap 32. We didn't know if he could make it all the way, and this is the answer.
It could have been because he was on the bank of the corners and the fuel cell didn't pick up the gas. And once these things get starved for fuel, it's impossible to get them going again. So he might have a little bit of gas. And guys, I know he missed it by 20 laps, but that's only 10 miles. I mean,
that's only a little bit over 2 gallons. But as you mentioned, Michael, the pickup for these fuel cells is right in the right rear corner because of the centrifugal force.
Now, while Ray was interviewing Kyle Busch, look at the 2 team. They're watching. They're listening. They're trying to hear what Kyle Busch was saying in his interview. Delana Harvick, owner of that 2 team, and now your owner's point leader.
What a horrible break for Jay White. Just horrible.
And then also, you know, we heard Kyle Busch speak about where does Elliott Sadler get his paycheck from. Well, obviously he drives for KHI. Tonight he's driving for Joe Dennett. KHI built that track. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes.
A lot of synergy going on.
Those folks at KHI want to know what he was going to say, because they want to know if he was going to talk about them, and he did.
And he did. He did, and we see the 23 getting pushed back onto pit road. He will make his way to his pit stall, which is just before they enter turn number 1 on the front stretch side.
Now Brendan Gaughan's coming in the pits.
Brendan Gaughan has given up second, and he is slow on pit road. Potentially, he just ran out of fuel. Brendan Gaughan stopped on lap 54, just like the other guys that are running up front. Kevin Harvick stopped on 54.
If I was these guys, I'd be down on the flat of the racetrack.
Well, Kevin Harvick really doesn't have much of a choice to get down there.
They're side by side. When they go by this time, they're going to get the 1 to go sign.
Our second and third place trucks apparently both run out of fuel. Brendan's not going to be able to make it back. He's overstuck in between turns 2 and 3.
3 and 4. And here comes
3 and 4. I'm sorry.
To give him a shove.
Recker's going to give him a push, but they may turn the lights back on. We see Jason White has made it back out on the racetrack.
That little fuel miscalculation cost Jason dearly up there running in the second spot. Now he finds himself off the lead lap.
They were able to hustle and get Brendan Gaughan on his side of pit road. He'll make it to his pit stall. We will not have the caution lights come back on. It looks as though they're getting ready to go once again. Kevin Harvick on the outside. James Buescher now on the inside. Todd Bodine has moved up to the outside of row number 2. Coming at it, turn number 4.
Austin Dillon's out of fuel, right in the middle of the field.
17 laps to go. Austin Dillon has problems. He runs out of fuel as they come to the start-finish line. The green flag does fly. Bodine moves up to second. James Buescher back to third. Side by side for fourth.
I'm not sure we won't see some more guys run out of fuel now.
Austin Dillon down on the apron through 1 and 2. The field going by it. The 62 of Brendan Gaughan trying to get back up to speed and back on the racetrack.
Guys, keep an eye on that 29 truck of Parker Kligerman. He came to the pit road and he got fresh tires at lap 173, and now he's back up in the top 10.
Austin Dillon scored a lap down. He came onto pit road at lap 54. As well as Kevin Harvick, as well as Todd Bodine, James Buescher, Johnny Sauter, all the guys up front all came on pit road at lap 54. Caution now comes out for the 3 of Austin Dillon.
Man, everybody in this race is now, all those guys that pitted on lap 54, they're questioning their strategy. Can they make it? And why did they pit so early when they didn't know if they could make it, needed some caution laps? Because of what Kyle Busch said. It's so hard to pass. You got to get that track position. Ray?
Hey, Michael, by the calculations from Danny Stockman, the crew chief, they were good to lap 207 on the 3 truck. And Austin had come on and said, I've only got 2 pounds of fuel pressure. And obviously it did run out. But by calculation, they should have been plenty good.
And it may be a situation where maybe they didn't get them full of fuel either. But they're on the bank of the racetrack. That fuel runs away from the pickup.
Stay with us. The exciting finish coming up. Fuel, the big question. Does anyone have enough to get to the checkered flag? Kevin Harvick. We see Jason White back on pit road. Kevin Harvick out in front of this field. He came to pit road at lap 54. Todd Bodine came to on pit road on lap 54. Buescher, Sauter, Coulter, Peters, PK Jr., and Lofton all came to pit road on lap 54.
Our top 8 came on that strategy. Be interesting to see if all 8 of them can make it. Ray, what's happening?
Mike Hillman Jr. just said, shake that truck, shake that truck. Todd said it was sputtering a little bit, and Mike said we should be 10 laps to the good, so make sure you're getting it all picked up.
I don't understand why they're not riding on the apron of the racetrack. Nelson Piquet Jr. was riding on the apron of the racetrack. Now, obviously, Kevin Harvick, the guys outside, can't do that. But I don't know why during the caution they weren't riding down on the flat of the racetrack.
Well, you don't want to get all that stuff on your tires, might be one reason, but you definitely don't want to run out of gas. So it's a risk-reward situation. You get down on the apron, get that tire buildup on there, they throw the green flag, you can't hold your position.
Because of centrifugal force, they put the pickups to the right side of the tanks, on the right rear of the tanks of these trucks, and when they run on the banking, that fuel runs away from where the pickup is.
When they're going slow,
when they're going slow. Coming to the green one more time. Harvick out in front. Todd Bodine running second. Now moving up on the outside. Johnny Sauter in the 13 takes second away from Bodine down the backstretch.
What a great move by Johnny Sauter. He had to be aggressive. He had to pin it right to the side of Todd Bodine. He did everything perfectly. Got a great restart, and now he's got the leader in his sights.
How about the 17 truck with a backup? Not one lap on the racetrack before qualifying. Right now battling for the 4th spot with Buescher.
Inside of 9 laps of racing to go. Harvick in front of Johnny Sauter, Todd Bodine. Here comes Timothy Peters for 4th. James Buescher runs 5th. The top 5 spreading out. Now Coulter moving to the outside of James Buescher, trying to take that 5th spot away.
How about Justin Lofton, guys? We haven't talked a whole lot about Justin Lofton as we see some 3-wide racing. Justin right now in that 6 truck running 7th.
Less than 7 laps to go. This time by, Harvick will see 6 laps remaining in this race. He's never won at Bristol in a truck. He came very close in 2003. He's trying to rectify that situation.
See, Matt Crafton had problems earlier with a flat tire. Matt's being shown 2 laps down. There's our side-by-side battle. Timothy Peters, James Buescher for 4th.
James just says, I'm so close. Please say clear, spotter. I don't want to feel my way into this Timothy Peters guy, but I might have to.
Timothy Peters all the way up, almost into the wall as they went through the turn. 5 laps of racing to go. Inside of 4 now. Kevin Harvick down the backstretch. He's got 6 truck links over Johnny Sauter. With the laps winding down, Sauter making a hard charge now. Coming out of turn number 4. 3 laps remaining.
Watch how hard Johnny Sauter drives this thing down in the bottom of that corner. He's driving in so deep. Loses it on the exit right there. But that's just desire. He's running in as hard as he can go.
Guys, remember since 2008 when Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick are in the same field, only a couple times at Martinsville has anyone else won these races.
Just twice, and so now Johnny Sauter trying to reel in, just under 2 laps to go. Harvick in front, Sauter running second, Todd Bodine is third, James Buescher fourth. The battle continues for 5th behind him. White flag goes in the air, 1 to go for Kevin Harvick.
Johnny Sauter can taste it, but he just can't get there.
Kevin Harvick coming into this race, had the momentum. He's won the 2 previous races in the Camping World Truck Series, and he's going to go to victory lane in the Truck Series from Bristol.
Side-by-side battle for a top 5 spot.
Timothy Peters barely edges Joey Coulter for that 5th spot.
A great side-by-side battle for that position. There is your top 13 as they cross the line. Kevin Harvick goes to victory lane again. It's 3 wins in a row in the Camping World Truck Series. Hermit.
Well, Bruce Cook, you sat on top of this pit box and convinced your driver you had enough fuel to get to the end. Were you concerned when you saw some other drivers run out of fuel?
Oh, I was very concerned. I did a lot of convincing there, and probably gonna go home and say a couple prayers tonight because a lot of convincing. I was sure about we can get to the end. I wasn't sure about how much he could serve, so that was the biggest problem. But he did an awesome job. Can't say enough about this team. It just keeps plugging along, and it's awesome. Awesome win here at Bristol, and that's 3 in a row, so that's awesome.
Congratulations, Bruce Cook is going to victory lane.
Kevin Harvick puts another track on the list of tracks that he has won in the Truck Series, the Nationwide Series, and the Cup Series. It's the 5th track he's been able to do that at. Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. This unique half mile has a unique victory lane on top of one of the buildings in the infield. Let's go there now.
Kevin Harvick, 3rd victory in a row. What can you say about this 2 bunch, Kevin? There's 3 wins in a row for this bunch, and I know you guys have been working hard to get Hunt Brothers in victory lane.
Yeah, first off, I just want to thank the pit crew. They're the ones that won this race tonight. They had a smoking pit stop on this Hunt Brothers Chevrolet, but all the people from Hunt Brothers, really excited to get them into victory lane tonight. I got to thank everybody from Ream, Bad Boy Buggies, One Main Financial, Budweiser, Chevrolet, everybody who helps us on this truck. 3 in a row, that's pretty cool.
Talk about fuel mileage. You guys pitted after some of the front runners that ran out of fuel. I heard you and Bruce Cook talking pretty much all night. Were you convinced that you would save enough fuel to get the job done?
I thought I had saved a fair amount, and we were able to stretch our lead out there. We were able to run some pretty slow laps and conserve some fuel. So he sounded pretty confident on the radio, the way that he was figuring the gas conservatively with what it would pick up and everything there. So all in all, they did a great job, and the pit crew won this race, though.
I got to ask you one other question. There was some contact on the racetrack between the 18 and the 24. You've had issues with the 18 in the past. He made a comment about where Elliott Sadler gets his paycheck. What could you see, or were you watching what was going on the racetrack, and your thoughts on that?
Well, I hadn't seen it, but that shows you how smart Kyle Busch is. He wasn't even driving for us tonight. Joe Danette owns that truck, and those guys came here to do what they had to do. So we can get as dirty as Kyle Busch wants. If he didn't want to race like that, then we'll race somewhere else.
That's Kevin Harvick. His thoughts on Kyle Busch. 3 wins in a row for the 2 truck.
Talk about momentum in racing. Right now, it's Kevin Harvick who has the momentum.
And they got to share that racetrack some more this weekend. I can't wait.
For about, 800 more miles?
Pretty much.
They're going to have to learn to play nice together.
They're not.
Track.
I bet they don't.
Welcome back. The O'Reilly 200. A convincing win for Kevin Harvick, leading over 103 laps. But when you come to a short track, tempers are always going to flare up. And we had a couple different drivers get a little bit upset on the racetrack tonight. 2 of those were the driver of the 18 and the 24. At least the 18 was upset.
Kyle thought he had him cleared. Elliott had his nose up in there. They'd had some contact early in the race that Elliott wasn't happy about. And that's what Kyle said in his interview that caused that situation.
But Elliott Sadler didn't do anything wrong there.
Nothing at all.
He just exited turn 2. Kyle tried to get in a hole that wasn't there, and he went into the wall.
Kyle Busch was frustrated. He sat in his truck for most of the remainder of the race. Then we heard from him. Let's hear from the other side of the story. Elliott Sadler standing by with Hermie.
Well, Elliott Sadler got him back for a top 10, but talk about the contact with you and Kurt Busch on the racetrack from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, early in the race, he really ran me high, ran me into the wall early in the race, and I let him go. That time, I honestly think his spotter just didn't tell him I was on the outside of him, and he came up, and I was there. I didn't even have time to check up or anything, so I think it's between more him and his spotter. He just wrecked himself, and I hate that he thinks it's my fault, and I hate that he came in and wrecked us and tore up a good truck, and we had a great chance to win tonight. I just think it's good, hard racing. Track position was worth a lot tonight, and I know he's mad and he's upset, but I wish he'd watch the tape and see what happened. I was on the outside of him. He and his spotter Eddie need to talk about that as far as letting him know when we were there. But I just hate it for my guys. Joe Dennett and these guys built me a good truck tonight, and everybody from AMFMenergy.com sit on the pole and lead a lot of laps, and just wasn't meant to be.
The restart seemed to be very important, what line you were getting in, and you had to do business early like you were trying to do on that restart.
Yeah, and I think that's why the frustration comes from. We all knew that you had to get to the top, and if you got in front of somebody, it was going to be very hard for them to pass you. And I think early in the race when I got away from everybody and got away from the 18, we were about 0.2 a lap faster than they were. I think they knew they had to be in front of me to have a chance to beat us tonight. So I just wish he'd watch the tape and understand what happened before he came back and retaliated and hit us the way he did. I hate it for my guys. Never had any problems racing him, and we gave and take a little bit tonight, and he run me high. Then he was trying to run me high again, and I was just there. I just don't think he knew I was there, and kind of wrecked himself. But I hate it for his guys because they got a tore-up truck, and we do too, and neither one of us had a good night. So it's just Bristol racing, I guess.
That's Elliott Sadler. Rick?
Yeah, thanks, Harvey. Elliott Sadler, Kyle Busch, neither of them involved in our points chase because they're not involved in the Camping World Truck Series. They don't receive points when they run here. These are our Ford point standings. Johnny Sauter out in front of James Buescher by 7. Now, problems with Austin Dillon, Timothy Peters toward the end of that race separates those top 4 by 29 points now.
I guarantee you Austin Dillon's saying, what the heck has happened? I had the points lead 3 or 4 races ago, and now I'm 29 behind?
Yeah.
How could that be?
Big hit at the end of the race when he ran out of fuel. He ended up finishing 23rd. So that's why he lost all those points here just on that last restart.
Same issues late in the race at Michigan last week, a crash, and points just go out the window. But you know the good thing, you lose them quickly, you can get them back.
quickly. We saw Johnny Sauter really give up about 60 points over the course of 3 weeks, 3 out of 4 weeks, and here he is back in the point lead again.
Heck, James Buescher didn't even race at Phoenix, and now he's all up in the middle of it.
Joey Coulter, the big mover, he moves up 2 spots into the 6th spot. Coming up next here on Speed, it's the Cars Show. An extremely funny Adam Carolla will take you through that one. Stay with us here on Speed. Welcome back. Elliott Sadler getting into victory lane, talking with Kevin Harvick, congratulating him on the win, he and Delana Harvick. The guy who's on top of the point standings has padded his point lead, and he's standing by with Ray.
Well, they certainly say perseverance is a virtue, and you had it tonight. Congratulations, great run.
Yeah, it's a testament to team effort tonight. You know, I want to thank all of our sponsors, Mud Jokes, Spittoons that was on the car or the truck this weekend, Safe Auto, Curb Records, Chevrolet, everybody. That's a pretty phenomenal tire. You can make one pit stop and run the rest of the race. But, you know, I knew in practice today we were good on long runs, and I knew we were lacking a little speed qualifying, so I just knew that if I was patient and could get myself in position, we'd have a shot. But that was a good last restart, and I don't know, we were just missing something. You know, at the beginning of the race we were too tight, and then we got it too free there in the middle, and towards the end it really got good. It got comfortable. So proud of everybody. It's a team effort. That's how you do it. Keep the point lead and go to Atlanta.
Had the point lead coming in. Johnny Sauter finishes 2nd.
In a Wednesday night race for the Camping World Truck Series, they'll have a weekend off coming up. There'll be night racing here at Bristol Motor Speedway with the Sprint Cup Series, and then off to Atlanta next weekend. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Camping World and the Good Sam RV Club. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, roadside assistance, and more. By Fram. Fram filters help make sure failure isn't a part of your engine's life. Don't fail your engine. Use Fram. And by Just for Men Mustache and Beard. Keep your edge. Night racing at the world's fastest half mile, Bristol Motor Speedway. Let's go down and hear from Todd Bodine.
Great night for the Valvoline Tundra, and Mike Hillman Jr. came on the radio and said, "Look out, boys, we're back." Do you feel that way?
I think so. You know, we struggled a little bit. I mean, we didn't have the best truck. The power steering in the middle of the corners, when you get the most load on the front end, it would just lock up on me. And I had no power steering through the center of both corners, so it was interesting to not have that happen or have that going on, but.
It's a lot better to be tough than smart or dumb, right?
Yeah, better to be tough than smart, yeah,
Whatever that saying is.
But, Valvoline back on a truck this week. We've had such a good relationship with Valvoline, great people. So proud of them. And, of course, International Trucks and Monaco RV, we've developed a great relationship with them. And, this is what our team's about. I've said the last 4 or 5 weeks that, we've been finished in 11th and 12th and 10th, and just not what this team's used to doing. And we're used to top fives. We're used to strong runs. And tonight we're back. I mean, a great third-place finish. It wasn't the perfect night. We didn't have the perfect truck. But to come out of here third, we can't complain.
3 times in his career he's finished second here. He gives another good finish to the Germain team tonight.
Top 5 finish. Finishes third for Bodine. A big night for that team. They almost had the 62 of Brendan Gaughan up there in the top 5 before fuel became the issue. Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. Coming up next, it's the Car Show with Adam Carolla, Dave Mira, and Matt Farah on rally racing. They'll be having some fun, as well as Adam wreaking havoc in the New York Auto Show. Let's go back down to Ray.
Well, early in the day, there was some concerns for James Busher. You weren't feeling well, went to the healthcare center. How about a top 5 after that?
I wasn't going to let me getting sick bring down the team. These guys work hard. Everybody on the Sexside crew does a great job. They've been doing a good job all year. The truck was fast in practice and qualified in the top 5 and ran in the top 5 all night long. So to come home fourth, kind of bittersweet. I was looking like I was going to restart fourth there when the 23 and the 62 both ran out of gas, and I could restart better on the top, so I was thinking I could get up to second, and having a restart on the bottom and try to hold the bottom and not get too loose and not lose any spots was pretty tough. But our truck was good, and we were able to do it. So another solid run for us.
They keep knocking off these top 5s, got them right there in this championship hunt.
James Busher with a top 5 finish. Another guy with a top 5 finish, Timothy Peters. And Ray, you've been hustling. You caught up with him.
With Timothy Peters, and if I told you tonight before this race started, I'll give you a top 5 and you could go home, would you have taken it?
Absolutely. This was probably the hardest top 5 I've ever had, so look forward to carrying this momentum into Atlanta. Crescent Hand Tools Tundra was awesome tonight. You guys do a great job getting us back up ready, and love Bristol, man.
All right, these guys put in a valiant effort. They get a top 5 tonight here at Bristol.
Thanks, Ray. Short track racing at Bristol. It lived up to its hype. I mean, we saw guys they were frustrated. They were waiting for guys in the garage area.
We saw an undercard, and then we saw a main event, and we saw Kevin Harvick win 3 in a row in the series,
and keep Kyle Busch from winning another one here in a row at Bristol. I think he's won 5 straight races here, so he put an end to that. But you know what? It was have at it, boys.
Short track racing in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. This is a racetrack where the series was born on back in 1995. They raced here for the first time. Next stop for the trucks, Atlanta.
Yeah, fast. I mean, really, really fast at Atlanta. Mile and a half, high bank racetrack.
Very fast racetrack. A frustrated Kyle Busch and elated Kevin Harvick goes to victory lane. 3 in a row in the Truck Series.
Next week, the Camping World Truck Series will kick off Labor Day weekend at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. The points race is a hot one, and everybody will be working overtime to gain some ground and bring home that checkered. Who will be leading the charge to the championship? Tune in to find out. Chris Devoto hosts the setup starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, followed by flag-to-flag coverage, only on Speed.